Greetings, my liege. It is I, Grimnar, son of Valnar, and today will be the first lesson about the move and combat phase, following in the How to Rule a Kingdom 101 lesson series. I assume you've completed your lessons with that brown-nosed Piddlesworth. He told me he outlined the Harvest, Advance, and Move phase, but now it's time to get serious. My time is now. My time is when war is declared, and that means battle is coming. Piddlesworth explained to you that when war is declared, the move phase becomes turn-based, with the player that declared war going first. The move phase also turns into the move and combat phase, with each player moving all their units into position and then playing through all their combat attacks, first resolving any melee attacks, where your units are fighting in brutal hand-to-hand combat, and then, secondly, any ranged attacks, where your units are shooting a ranged weapon at the enemy. Cowards! So although I'm taking you through combat, the move phase is intricately linked to the combat phase. So, my liege, before we go into the hitting and wounding and armor saving part of combat, let me quickly walk you through the basic combat moves. Apart from just moving normally or boring-like into combat, which is fine if you have to. There are 6 different types of combat maneuvers and formations that can be made that we will cover today. These can only be made by specific units or units with a weapon or special ability that gives these units a buff or allows them to do something special. These 6 maneuvers are 1. Shield wall, 2. Spear wall, 3. Charge, 4. A rolling charge, 5. Unpack, and 6. Other or special moves. As there is 6 types of moves, in larger battles you may wish to place an indicator dice, or dice with a specific number face up, next to that unit. So if a unit had a 1 indicator die next to it, this indicates that that unit has made a shield wall maneuver and thus in shield wall formation. 1. Shield wall. Shield walls are a defensive maneuver formation that infantry units can move into if equipped with a shield. Moving in shield wall formation is rather slow, and as such a unit in shield wall formation may only move at half speed. For example, if they move 6 inches normally, now they only move 3. Whilst in shield wall formation, these units can increase their armor save by 1. We'll go over armor saves in the next lesson. Infantry equipped with kite shields may increase their armor save by 3 instead, however, may not move. And that's it. The unit moves at half speeds and gains an armor save bonus. Onto 2, the spear wall. This works exactly like the shield wall move. However, your infantry units must be equipped with spears, obviously. Unlike the shield wall, spear wall moves at half speed. However, instead of an armor save bonus, units in spear wall formation gain +1 to hit when attacking a unit in their front. The front is a term referring to the front, the forward-facing corner of your unit's base. Each unit has 4 corners on their base that are all referred to as arcs: the front, the rear, and the left and right flanks. Units in spear wall also gain +1 to wound if their target in contact with their front is a cavalry or monster unit. Spears are naturally very good against large-sized creatures. From the charging horse lord to the mighty dragon, any unit prepared with spears can put up a good fight against these units. If your units are in this formation, the unit may not use any additional hand weapons or alternative weapons. One final note on these defensive maneuvers, my liege. Units that are already in melee combat and have not already moved may form into these shield or spear wall formations. However, they can't move, withdraw, or slide move for the rest of the turn. More on withdrawing and slide moves later. Right, so next we have some offensive maneuvers you can make. Maneuver number 3 is the charge move. Some weapons and units are able to make a charge move as indicated in their rules. For example, units with axes and swords can make a charge move. To make a charge move, your people can't be in battle or in close proximity to enemy units. They need to prepare for the charge. Thus, charge moves cannot be made if the unit starts its move within 2 of an enemy unit. To make a charge move, your unit must start their move with line of sight of their target and can move only in a straight line towards them over no other models and have enough movement to reach them, obviously. A unit that makes a charge move gains +1 to hit rolls and +1 to their rune rolls against the unit they are charging for that turn. Now when cavalry make a charge, it is even more devastating. When a cavalry unit makes a charge move, it gains an extra attack for that turn, in addition to the +1 to hit and to wound. Combat maneuver number 4 is the rolling charge. The rolling charge is almost exactly the same as a normal charge. However, once the charge has been made, the rolling unit makes its attacks out of the phase, and then may continue to move away from the enemy it just attacked. Classic rolling charge examples are chariots clipping the edge of an army and driving off, or a dragon swooping down, attacking, and then continuing to fly away. Your rolling charge unit must start their movement with line of sight of their target, and must only move in a straight line towards them over no other units, exactly the same as a normal charge. A unit that makes a rolling charge may move into contact with an enemy unit and immediately makes all their attack rolls against that unit out of turn, and then, with any remaining movement, may continue to move and may withdraw away from that combat without penalty, as if the rolling charge unit bounced off their target. Now onto maneuver number 5, the unpack move. Units with the move or fire rule, like catapults, ballistas, and cannons, must make an unpack move if they wish to shoot their ranged weapons in the following combat. A unit that makes an unpack move must spend all of their movement unpacking and may pivot to the direction they want to make attacks toward. Mounted, garrisoned, and entrenched units are automatically unpacked, unless in melee, in which case they are automatically packed and may not shoot. If a unit pivots whilst unpacked, it counts as moving and cannot shoot the same turn. The last maneuver is a bit of a wild card, my liege. Number 6 is an other move or command. Some units have a special formation or other type of move that is unique to them and not listed here. One example of a special move is the submerged move, where a unit can move underwater or underground. A 6 on the maneuver dice can also be used to indicate a unit is fleeing as part of their move. Any other special moves available to a unit are clearly stated under a unit's profile. A 6 on the indicated dice can also be used to indicate a unit has already attacked, or if it has already used its command, i.e. repairing a wall, harvesting, or building, etc. Now before we can finalize this lesson, there are 2 other moves that are relevant for combat. 1. The withdraw move. When your units are engaged in melee combat with an enemy unit, the noise of battle and the chaos it brings means units cannot easily move away from the fray of battle. Thus, if you wish to move a unit away from a melee combat, you must order them to withdraw. To withdraw a unit out of contact, melee combat, with an enemy unit, the unit must spend half of their total move withdrawing from that combat and then can make a normal move with the remaining half. If you withdraw a move into a resource site or a trench, you must spend the unit's whole movement to move directly into the closest site or trench position. Now there may be an instance where you have the upper hand in melee combat, my liege, and instead of withdrawing from the battle, you can order a unit to make a slide move. A unit that makes a slide move can do this once per move phase to move into a more favourable position in the immediate battle. When making a slide move, you can pivot your unit's facing as you wish to change the facing of the unit and may move up to 1 inch. However, at the end of the slide move, the unit must 1. Remain in melee combat, 2. Have as much of their base in contact with an enemy unit as possible, 3. Have not moved over any other unit, and 4. If a slide unit moves around an enemy's flank, they must close the gap. Close the gap rule is a rule that states that whenever your unit moves into contact with a model or feature, you must close the gap where possible. Closing the gap means that once you reach an enemy model or even in contact with terrain or sites, you may, for free, pivot and move the model flush with that other model, thus closing the gap. This rule is intended to keep battles and the tabletop clean and obvious to what is happening. Right, so now you know these moves that can be made to help you in combat. The next lesson we get into the good part of the game, the hitting, the stabbing, and the shooting part, my liege. Onward!